Hello, welcome guys. Here I am. There we go. Welcome to the 3D market commentary for today. Today is August 2nd, so it's a Monday. Hopefully you guys had a great weekend, ready for a great trading week ahead. Now, my name is Becky. My email address is there, becky@tradictive.com. There's also support@tradictive.com, so you can get hold of me or us on those emails. Now, let me just cover the disclaimers here before we move on. They should be... There they are, up in the top left hand corner there on the screen. So have a read of those. Of course, important to understand disclaimers from a legal perspective, but also to know that these kind of videos are demonstrations. So let's just move on very quickly. So you've got my email address and the support email address there as well. But another place you can come to ask questions is tradewithufos.com/Becky. Now this place is important. I would prefer that you ask questions here, and the main reason for it is because once you've got your free Trade with UFOs membership, which you can get here if you don't have already, you can scroll down here and ask questions in a public setting. By asking questions in a public setting, the questions go in here, the answers go in here too. So other people can learn from the questions that you have and from the answers that are there. You might also find that if you come to this link, you might find that the question you have has already been asked and the answer is already there. So someone else has done you that favour earlier on. If it's not, then you can post that question there and do somebody else that favour later down the line. So ideally, that's where you'd go to post questions. tradewithufos.com/Becky. Okay, so let's crack on and have a look at our market commentary. So we send out an email every day. And we call it our 3D market commentary because we look at three main elements of 5 major markets. So we're looking at major markets in the world and looking at 3 major elements in them. It comes out as like a news flash, a report kind of every day that will come through to your email. That also comes as part of the free Trade with UFOs membership, by the way. And of course, the information that we have here is relevant to what we see on the charts. So I'm going to go through each of the markets one by one. There are 5 markets, and through each of those 3 elements one by one as well. Now the 3 elements are market climate, upcoming market direction, up or down, should we buy or sell? Sometimes not enough probability either way, so we do nothing. We use an app to help us with this. It's called our AutoClimate app. It's a free app, and this tells us in a series of dots what we should be doing. Ignore the lines for now, but if we had a thick blue dot, that tells us probability upwards, so we should probably look to buy. If we had a thick red dot, that tells us probability downwards, we should probably look to sell. And if we had a thin dot of either colour, doesn't matter the colour, that tells us not enough probability either way, do nothing. So we get that question asked by our free AutoClimate app. Now we have buy and sell UFOs, unfilled orders. That's what UFO stands for, unfilled order. And that shows us where we should be buying and selling. Not just that we should be, but where we're going to do it specifically. So we might use our sell UFOs to help us out with deciding where we're going to sell. Essentially, those sell UFOs are telling us, hey, there's a bunch of sellers here. Now, if we want to sell, then we'd ideally want to be selling where there's loads of other sellers, because it's much more likely to push price down. The only way price can go down is if you have more selling and less buying. So the more sellers there are, the more likely they are to push price down. So we want to sell with them. It increases our probabilities. If we're buying, then we want to buy with our buy UFOs, our green UFOs. Those show us where buyers are. If we want to buy, then we want to buy where there's loads of other buyers, much more likely to push price up. So again, we use an app here to help us with that. Then we have market volatility, upcoming speed of price that we can expect. So we'll look at that per market. Now, first market is the ES, which is the S&P 500, which is the top US 500 stocks, and we're looking at the ES, which is the futures contract for it. Essentially, we are looking at a representation of US stocks. Now, we're using a daily chart for each of these markets. Of course, different things do happen on different time frames. These are relevant to daily charts. So we have, for the S&P 500, for US stocks as a whole, a confirmed upwards climate. We have a thick blue dot on our AutoClimate telling us probability is up. Now, usually the market would go up for 9 candles, just rounding that up, and we're on candle number 8, which means we have come to the end, or we are coming to the end of what would be a usual move to the upside. So we still have probability up, but we may see that change as we move to the end of what would be this usual move. Now in terms of UFOs, we have buy orders here at 43.71.50 to 43.41.50. Now those have already worked a few times. Price came in and went up. Buy orders push price up. Came in, went up. Buy orders push price up. So again, that could happen again. At the moment, we still have probability to the upside with the climate. We have buy orders beneath us. So overall here, probability to the upside here with the S&P. In terms of volatility, we'd expect in a year movement up or down of 18.16%. So that means in a day, movement up or down of 50.5 points. In a week, it would be 111.18 points up or down. And in a month, it would be 231.44 points up or down. That's how far we would expect to see this price move within those given periods of time. Overall probability up for the time being with the S&P. So moving on to the next market, which is oil. In the meantime, it says there about the courses that we do, so you can check those out. We do them in futures, forex, stocks, backtesting, trading plans, psychology, so you can go and check those out. Most of them come with 3-month complimentary access to the apps. AutoClimate is a free app on most of the platforms. You can get it on anyway. AutoUFOs you can subscribe for directly. You don't have to do a course. You can just subscribe directly for the UFOs, but they do come complimentary as part of most of our courses for 3 months. It might actually work out cheaper for you to do it that way. So check that out depending on what you want to do. So with oil, we have confirmed upwards climate, thick blue dot again up here, probability upwards. Now usually the market would go up for 7 candles, again rounding that up, and we're on candle number 7. So again, come to the end of what would be a usual move to the upside. That doesn't mean we won't go past it. We sometimes fall short of what's normal. We sometimes go past what's normal. That's normal to see that happen. Of course, we end up with that average somewhere in between. So it wouldn't be out of this world for us to, of course, go past what is usual, especially since in this context, we have buy orders beneath us that are already working to push price up a little bit. These buy orders are 72.43 to 70.56. Price has come in, hit that stack of orders and gone up a little bit. So they're already being pushed up. So overall, same as with the S&P with oil, we have probability to the upside for the time being. We are coming to the end of that move, but that doesn't mean we won't see it continue upwards, especially when we have everything still pointing to the upside. Now, in terms of volatility, in 1 year with oil, we would expect movement up or down of 32.85%, which means in a day, 1.51 points up or down would be the expected move. In a week would be 3.32 points up or down, and in 1 month, 6.91 points up or down. So that is oil. Moving on now to the next market, which is gold. Here we go. Lovely, brilliant. So with gold, obviously before we do that, it says here about coaching and support. We do a lot of coaching and support for free on platforms like YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn, and you can email us and post questions and things like that. We're here to help you. We also have a closed coaching community, which is a paid for membership, and that gives you access to more of our time in a closed environment. But either way, we want to help you as much as we can. So with gold, we have a confirmed upwards climate, thick blue dot again, probability upwards. Now, usually the market would go up for 7 candles. Again, I've rounded that up, and we're on candle number 2. So we actually do have room for it to continue to move upwards based on what usually happens. However, we need to bear in mind that we have sell orders right here between 1866 and 1804.4, and we don't have buy orders until all the way down here, 1652.8 to 1624.4. So we have a climate pushing price up, so we've got buying from the climate, but we have sell orders right here. So they're kind of fighting each other at the moment. Sellers versus buyers, they're fighting each other. Ideally, we want to keep out of that and see which one wins. Otherwise, it's kind of less probability, less things going in our favour. So for me, I would say we should leave that alone. If you were going to take a side, overall the climate is winning to the upside, but by a little bit. So I would leave it, as I said, change time frame, change market, come back tomorrow, see what the situation is. In terms of volatility with gold, we'd expect in a year movement up or down of 15.09%, which means in a day up or down of 17.22 points, in a week 37.9 points up or down, and in a month 78.9 points up or down. So moving on to the next market, which is the US dollar. say this all the time, the US dollar is responsible for about 80% of transactions worldwide every day. So even if you don't trade it directly, maybe you don't trade Forex or you don't trade the futures on the dollar or anything like that, be aware of what it does, because it will likely have an impact on most markets that you could be trading. So with the dollar, we have a confirmed downwards climate, thick red dot here, probability to the downside. Usually the market would go down for 6 candles and we're on candle number 5. So coming to the end of what would be a usual move to the downside. However, we do have sell orders just here between 92.845 to 92.235. Very, very close to where price is now. And we have buy orders quite a way below us, relatively, at 90.64 to 19.31. So overall, we have probability down, we have sell orders closer by. Overall, probability to the downside here with the US dollar. Now, in terms of volatility, we'd expect in a year movement up or down of 5.16%, which in a day is 0.3 points up or down. In a week, 0.66 points up or down. And in a month, 1.37 points up or down. Now, next market, last market is backed Bitcoin. So let's take a quick look at that. Again, as it says here, if you're interested but have questions, you can self-schedule a clarification call. Speak to one of our experts about the memberships, the courses, the apps. See what's going to be helpful for you. If anything, you might not need to, but you can chat to us if you do have questions about these things. So, backed Bitcoin, we have a confirmed upwards climate, thick blue dot, probability upwards. Now, we don't actually know how long this market usually goes up for, because it's just not old enough yet. We don't have enough data to say this usually happens, this doesn't usually happen. So we're kind of in the dark there, but what we do know is that we have probability upwards. We also have buy orders that we are within right now. Those buy orders are between 40,467.5 to 31,615. We have sell orders a little way above us there at 51,782.5 to 46,807.5. So overall, probability upwards here with Bitcoin. Now notice as I've gone through each of these markets, and this is the last one, as I've gone through each of these markets, we're talking about the probability, where the statistics, where the technology is pointing in terms of probability. So just because something is probable doesn't mean it's definite. So we still manage our risk. We still might have extra variables that we might need before we place trades. What the point of these kind of sessions are is to have you guys understand what the technology is that we use, how do we use it to give us probability. If we're trading, ideally we want to be trading where we at least have probability on our side, and that's why we use these tools, that's why we use these techniques to help us with our decision making when we trade. So that's the last market. So last thing before we round up is the economic calendar. It's quite a big one today, so just scroll down a bit. So this is the fxstreet.com economic calendar. We filter by high impact news. Basically, we want to know what scheduled news reports could have an impact on the market within the next week. So for us today, for example, on Monday, we have news that's already come out on the Canadian dollar and the euro, and news that will be coming out very shortly on the US dollar. So for those of you that trade those markets, you might want to be aware that we might see volatility in them based on these news reports. You might embrace that, you might be fearful of that. That's up to you to decide, but at least you know from this calendar when that news is likely to come out. If you have any questions, you can email us, either becky@tradictive.com or support@tradictive.com. And then there's, of course, this link as well, tradewithufos.com/Becky. You can get yourself a free Trade with UFOs membership there. And then you can come down and ask a question in a public setting, so I can answer it in a public setting. Everybody learns. And you can also book one-on-one coaching with me as well if you'd like to through that link. So I will be back. Today is Monday, so I will be back in action on Thursday morning. So I'll see you guys then. In the meantime, my colleague Boyan will be taking this session. And of course, there's sessions nearly every day on our channel. So check those out as well. And we will be always around to answer questions and help you guys out. I'll see you soon. Have a great rest of your week up until the next time that we see each other. And happy trading.